Hello, thank you for stopping by my channel. And in this introduction video, I want to talk about what it means to be set apart. As for myself, I am in my 40s and I don't have any family or friends. And this is not something I just realized, but something that I've always been aware of since I was a little girl. And so when I was small, I learned that it was only like one side of my family. I don't have two family trees like most people have, both sides. And so my father was adopted, and he was adopted by a couple who couldn't have kids, and they were in the education field. And so they adopted my father, and he grew up, and both of my parents were schizophrenic. And so, they adopted my grandparents, my father's side, adopted my father when he was a baby. So he didn't develop schizophrenia until like he went to college. So he was about 20 or 21. And then my mom was introduced to him. And it's interesting with my family history. And my mom's side, of course there's her side, her family, but on my father's side, that's all I got to know or I knew about was my grandfather, and that's all I really met from the family. When he passed away, people came from other states, but after that, we never heard from his side of the family ever again, and that was like in the 90s. And so it's only the only other side of my family members I did know was my mom's side, but everyone was like older. So I have an older family tree. In my family, there was 8 kids, and my grandmother passed away at 111 years old. So everyone's older. A lot of my family from my mom's side, her brothers and sisters have died, and my mom is still alive, but I've been set apart from her due to her schizophrenia and issues. Looking at her, no one would know it because she's very beautiful, just like a pageant queen, but at home and how she treated her kids was like totally different. And so like no one really knew that was my story growing up, and I was always shy and quiet and introverted. Growing up, I really didn't talk that much. I didn't have a lot of friends, but I did have some friends. Mostly in the good girl or the church girl group. There was a group of us. So I made friends that way because it's either, when I was growing up, I came from a small town in the sticks, they would say, so, or one horse town, and it was very small. So at school, there was like good girls who were church girls, and then girls who were fast and promiscuous and out there. So it's either or, you're in that group or that group. And so I made some friends that way, but they really weren't friends, but they were like girls that I could do stuff with and stuff. And so anyway, no one really knew like what I was going through in my background. I was always quiet and shy, not really talkative. When I got older, like in my 20s, I was never a dancer or a drinker. I wasn't like going out to clubs and drinking. I did have boyfriends, so I would get like one person that would get me and stuff. But in life, the different boyfriends, they would use me and abuse me. So I got married and divorced and married, and my family would treat me bad, and it was to the point where it was just dangerous to be around them. For that reason, I have a brother that passed away some years ago, and then I still have a sister, but I'm estranged from her because of her behaviors, and she was never like a sister growing up. And again, I think because of that touch of schizophrenia. But when I was growing up, one thing, there's a big age gap between us, at least 11 years, I would say, gap. But when she was growing up, she never paid me attention, never spent time with me. It was rare, and only if it benefited her. Like, she would spend time with me, but every now and then she would take me out, like when she went on a date with another guy. So I guess I was just security, I guess, that nothing would happen to her. And then after that, I would never see her. Or she'll want me to help her and dropped me off at a point where I couldn't even drive or wasn't allowed to drive. And she would go trying to do something and would leave me there for products, like, for example, to sell at a conference, and leave me there with like basically no way to run it and stuff. So it was always like in some type of like weird situation, like she would spend time with me, but it was very rare. It was just like to use me, or to get me to like help her with her job, like stuff newspapers, like I was doing her job instead of her doing it, like so she could do something else. But she never really cared about me. Even with like my ex-husband, she would call them, both of them would like call them and stuff, and it was just crazy. Spend more time with them and cause problems in my marriage and stuff like that. Because with narcissism, like people like that, they don't want to see you happy, and they don't want to see no one else spending time with you. And it's really sad when your own mother and sister is like that. But this is why, part of the reason why I don't have friends or family. So, I've seen other videos where people say that, but they're still in contact with their family sometimes. As for me, there is no contact. It's never been any love or care. Even with the cousins in the family, they've never cared about me or keeping up with me. And they could be well off. They just care about their immediate family, and that was it. And like if I did go somewhere like a family reunion, the women wouldn't even talk to me. The male cousins would talk to me more than the female cousins. And that's with age. That's like when I was like 30, I think I felt them or tried to contact. So I was always the one trying to make things work with the family members I had when I was younger, trying to get them to do activities with me or do something, even just activities I knew they liked. I would try to set up some time for us to do stuff, or make a comment on Facebook to try to get some interaction, and it never worked out. And that's when I realized that this is different. As I would go out with my boyfriends or watch TV and movies, I knew that this wasn't normal. And it didn't really hit me until like my 30s, early 30s. I realized that this just ain't normal. And I stopped like communicating with them and trying to like do activities and try to get along with them, because you can't make people change. And when people do things that's dangerous to you for your life and your livelihood, you have to stop at that point anyway. So more so, I've just completely stopped. And I'm not sad about anything. I've tried to, I guess, create my own family in a sense, and that never worked out. So I realized that God was just he just marked me as a chosen one. And I would say that because I'm very religious, and I've been to church. I grew up in church. I've read the whole Bible at least one time, all the way through. So I've done that before, and I've sought like spiritual advice on it. And it's like the same thing when I would ask, like, well, what about the rest of my life? The person would say that God wants me to be his. And so I've known that for like over 12, 13 years now, where that was told to me. But I've always been trying to trying to find people or find something, which I guess is a mindset of lack. Not feeling like I don't have a husband or a family and trying to create it when God had already said that he wants me to be his for a while. And I don't even know like how long that was. I think I asked that question, well, how long is that? And with that, I don't remember a response to it. And so, it's just the way it is. Some people are chosen and set aside. It doesn't mean you've done anything wrong or you're a bad person. I've been told that. I've had people make up all kinds of like horrible things about me. I'm a bad person and this and that. And all I've done all my life is like mission work and try to help people, pray people. Even the boyfriends that stole from me or wanted me to do something for them that I didn't feel comfortable with doing. It was always a situation basically where I end up losing and being humiliated and ridiculed and things like that. So I've never like really went out trying to like find friends. I know last year I tried a little bit because I was in between a stage, and in my life I did sought to study to be a nun. So for a period of time I did that last year to see if that was for me or not for me, and not going to like a convent, but one that lives, a nun that lives in her own home or house. And so, you know, I have lots of stories and things to share here on YouTube, but that's why I started this channel, just to be an encouragement and motivation for others who might be in the same situation. People who maybe have schizophrenic parents, people who don't drink or smoke and seem like they're like outsiders or don't get along with people, people who have been rejected, people who don't seek friendship ever or don't anymore for whatever reason, people who live in solitude, whether they want to or they don't want to. But I have no friends and no family. Even with females, it just never worked. I'm not sure why. I guess this has been God's plan. I also been told, well, that's a generational curse. I've been praying about this for like decades. You know, I'm in my early 40s, and I've sought spiritual advice about it, and I would tell them, well, this is clearly what God wants. I'm not suffering in that sense. Now, other people, when I reached out, you know, trying to find boyfriends and female friends, I suffered through them because the people were abusive and things like that. But as far as being by myself, I'm content. I love myself. I have good self-esteem. I love finding my own things to do. I've traveled a lot. For example, I went to Los Angeles years ago by myself twice and had a ball, had fun by myself, you know, riding the bus and the metro, going here and there. You know, I'm an outgoing person, always had fun. So I'm good, you know, by myself. But the only time I see some issues is like when I need help and things like that. But God is, you know, blessed me and made ways for me to provide and make a living. And, you know, I've not gone without anything. He's always provided and given me tools and resources so I can care for myself and do things I need to do, you know, things that might involve someone else. I've always been able to do it. So I want other chosen ones and other people who are set apart as well to know that, you know, it may not be easy whether you are choosing to be by yourself. If you've tried and God has always like said no and you felt like he's held you back, it's a good thing. When I look back at it all, I'm glad I was chosen. I wish I never on my own tried to seek friendship, companionship, whether it was male or female. When I look back on it, I wish I had just stayed truly by myself over the years. But you know, it's so many things that chosen people can do. There's nothing wrong with you. Be content in it. The world might say it's wrong, or it's weird, or, you know, you could feel lonely and things like that. But, you know, there's prayers, there's communities and different things that you can join. And, you know, my channel is going to be inspirational and be a community for women to, you know, that are by themselves to talk about certain things. Because out here in the world is like, it's crazy out there. I'm not like holier than thou religious, but I know like when I'm out there and stuff, I'm like, wow, like, in this country, I live in the United States too, it's just like so many like weird and crazy things in dealing with people. Like society has really changed like since I was young, and I grew up like in the 90s. It's just weird. I mean, you got to keep up with the changes and everything, but you know, being a chosen one, it may seem hard, you might seem alone, but I'm telling you, just embrace it and go with it. I love being set apart, and I totally, you know, embrace it in my life, and I hope you do too. So welcome to the channel, and I hope to see you in another video.